Assalamualaikum everyone. Today we're making filet mignon. As you can see that I have two steaks and both are of different thicknesses. It's a very premium steak. It comes from a very premium cut of beef. It's very tender, and you can cook it pretty fairly easily if you do it right. Anyways, there are a few things that I'm going to tell you that you should keep in mind before you start cooking them. One is that your steak should be dry. As you can see that I am drying out the steak with a paper towel, which I'm not doing a very good job at. You can do better, but anyways, this is what I had lying around, so I'm working with it. So once you dry out your steak, that's important, because if you don't, the steak is not going to cook very well. The other thing is that your steak should be at room temperature. Don't just take it out of the fridge and put it into the pan. That's going to be a disaster. It's not going to cook evenly. So if you want it to cook evenly and have a good sear, you should always bring your steak down to room temperature, leave it on the countertop for 30 to 45 minutes, so it can come to room temperature before you start cooking it. Okay, and the third thing to keep in mind is that you should never season your steak unless you're just about to put it into the pan. If you do actually season it beforehand, if you do season it and let it sit on the countertop for 5 to 10 minutes, even 5 to 10 minutes, it's all the juices are going to leak out and the steak is going to end up very bland and unevenly cooked. After that, you have to keep one more thing in mind, that always have a very hot pan. Okay, so I have started the process. You can see that I am seasoning the steaks with salt. You can season with just salt, but I am going to add a little bit of black pepper for heat. After that, I'm going to add some oil, so it's a little moist, not so dry, and then I'm going to roll it around on the cutting board and pick up whatever seasoning I can. Okay, so while I was doing all the seasoning and drying and telling you all the techniques and stuff like that, the pan was actually heating up on the stove, and by the time I'd be ready to put the steaks into the pan, it would be very nice and hot. Now I have gathered everything that I'm going to need: a thermometer, a clove of garlic, and some rosemary. Once the pan is hot, you can check that by holding your hand above the pan at a distance, and you should be able to feel some heat coming off of it. Anyways, I have put the steaks into the pan, and they should sizzle right away. Because I am aiming this temperature to be on the rare side, just slightly cooked, I'm not going to cook the steaks too much. I'm going to sear them for 3 minutes on one side and 3 minutes on the other side. Not going to flip them in between, not going to touch them, not going to press them, nothing. After 3 minutes mark on both sides, I'm gonna add some oil, some garlic, some butter, and some rosemary for aroma. And I'm gonna cook it for 3 more minutes on each side, not more than that. You can sear the sides as well. As you can see, I haven't, because I don't want my steaks to be cooked too much. You can do that if you like them cooked a little bit more. Normally people do like the steaks to be cooked a little bit more. Anyways, I haven't, and now I have flipped it, and as you can see, there's a beautiful sear on one side and there's a beautiful sear on the top as well. Just to explain the cooking time a little bit, it's just 3 minutes of searing on one side initially and 3 minutes of searing on the other side initially. After that, you add in the oil and you cook them for 3 more minutes on each sides, not more than that. At this point, I'm gonna put the thermometer in, and I'm gonna take the temperature. For it to be medium rare, rare, the temperature should be between 120 to 130 Fahrenheit. And the temperature is going to be different on both of the steaks, because one is a non-uniform ugly one and the other one is rather uniform. So as you can see, I have taken the pan off of the heat, because I have cooked, after searing, I have cooked both sides for 3 minutes on the stove. After that, I have taken the pan off of the heat, and I'm gonna let the steaks rest for 3 more minutes into the pan. That's going to cook them a little bit more. And you can see that I am drizzling whatever little oil or butter I have in the pan onto the steaks. Once the 3 minutes mark of resting in the pan is over, I am going to take the steaks out and I am going to rest them on my cutting board for 8 to 10 minutes. You should always rest your steaks after you've taken them off the heat before you cut into them for about 8 to 10 minutes, because if you don't and you go straight ahead and cut into them, all the juices are going to flow out. After I've taken the steaks out onto the cutting board and I'm gonna let them rest, I am going to cook rosemary, garlic and butter that I have in the pan until it becomes a little more nice and aromatic, and then I'm going to drizzle it on top of my steaks. Now the internal temperature that I was aiming for is about 125 to 130 degree Fahrenheit on the main steak, which is a pretty one, and it turned out just that. So it is rare. That is the temperature you need for the steak to be rare. The other steak is going to end up medium rare because it was not so uniform and it was different in thickness. So it's going to have an internal temperature of about 137 degree Fahrenheit. If you want your steak to be medium, you can go up to 145 degree Fahrenheit internal temperature. As you can see, this one, the non-uniform, the ugly one, was about 137, so it turned out to be medium rare. And the one that I am dressing up so lovingly, the one that I am going to eat, is the rare one, which is basically an ideal temperature for a filet mignon, because I believe it is the most tender and the most juicy when it's just slightly cooked. Anyways, I hope you've learned something from the video. You can leave whatever questions you have in the comment section and I will try to answer them as much as I can. And please like, comment, share, subscribe. Thank you. Bye bye.